Hi there, welcome to Marvel Balls TV, and I'm going to talk about some transfer news right about now. So as you can see on the screen there, this is AFC Bell. Now I don't know who he or she is. Obviously it's an Arabic account. I don't know where he, she, they, whatever get their information from, but they obviously were right on the Partey thing last year, and it seems they could be on the money again with this Ryan Bertrand thing. Um, I think this may happen. Um, you know, is Ryan Bertrand top? The thing is, it's not about whether Ryan Bertrand's top levels. We need a backup left back. It seems Kolasinac may be leaving. Um, it doesn't make sense, in my opinion, to have three left backs. And let's be frank, Kolasinac is not the level um, required. So AFC Bella saying it is reported that the club's interest in the services of Ryan Bertrand has entered a serious stage in the past 72 hours. There is a second file being worked on in parallel, and an alternative option to fill the needs of the left back slot, but Bertrand's file is the hottest. The club is intensifying its efforts to settle the first deals of the summer. Now, as a backup to Tierney, because Tierney has to be our main man, I don't see a problem with this because he's going to play. Obviously, Tierney gets injured, unfortunately. He is a bit injury prone, but he's got Premier League experience. Again, I wouldn't ever say he's been a top level left back, but again, kind of like Luis Suarez from Southampton. I think he's all right. So I think as a squad player, I don't see the issue. If he was our mainstay, then I'd say yeah, no question. But as a squad player, again, I don't see the problem. So yeah, if it gets done, then at least it'll give us a bit of surety. Yes, I know you can play Saka there, but I think Saka's way more effective forward. I know as a left back, he can obviously get forward just as much as Tierney does, but even still, I think Saka really his efforts should be based more on attacking. But yeah, I think it's a positive thing if we can. We do need to identify that. So if we can get that, that's one tick off the list. Another tick, in my opinion, I think we should get a centre back. I think we need someone of a bit more hardiness in the central defence. Right back, this may not be a common view, but I think we're good enough for right back. I think Suarez. It looks like Bellerin may be leaving, so I think Suarez and Chambers could fill in there. Maybe Maitland-Niles if he comes back. Um, you know, I think we need a central midfielder, someone at the same or similar profile to Thomas Partey. Um, Ideally, if we can get Guendouzi, I think that'd be. I know he's not. Well, he's a different kind of box-to-box player um, than what's his name, Partey. I don't think he's as combative as Partey, but I think he does. Partey can progress the ball and his passing range is good, but I think Guendouzi's a bit more technical um, than Partey. But Guendouzi Partey would be, I think, a very good combination um, in midfield. So then you have, yeah, I think in terms of attacking, I think we're good. Again, it's not a common view, but Lacazette looks like he's staying. Aubameyang, from what can be seen, will stay. We got Martinelli. Balogun signed a new deal and is staying. Obviously, Saka's staying. Uh, Pepe's going to stay from what it seems. So, I was going to talk about Willian, but I'll talk about him in a little while. But you even got Eddie and Ketia, whom I think we should go. But I think attack is okay for now. I don't think we need to change the attack that much. But for me, it's more the central midfield and the defense. Um, for me, those should be the priorities. So yeah, so that's the Ryan Bertrand story. Um, so the next story, as I mentioned William briefly, I may as well go on to him just about now. So Fabrizio Romano, obviously, probably the biggest ITK journalist in the world these days because of his contacts and profile. I think he's probably overtaken Ornstein in that respect in the last year or two. But he goes on to say, after David Luiz, also Willian is expected to leave Arsenal this summer. There's interest from European clubs and from Major League Soccer. Inter Miami, I think that's David Beckham's team. I think he owns them. Wanted him last summer. Arsenal are waiting for official bids. Now, Willian, when he came, I was against it because we're Arsenal. We should be signing Chelsea rejects. Well, not rejects. I think that's probably a harsh term. Let's say Chelsea has-beens. Because he did win a couple of league titles with them. So, and I think most Chelsea fans would say he was a good player for them. So I think reject is probably a harsh term to use, but I didn't want him in principle. Again, we should not be signing Chelsea leftovers or players who are too old for Chelsea, but good enough for us. That should not be the case. And bar that free kick against West Brom, what's he actually done? I think it was a mistake to get him, and if we can get him off the books, look, I've got nothing against him. He's had a good career. I just don't think he's that good. He's been that good, and I think it was a bad error in getting him. So yeah, if he leaves, I think that's best for both parties, in my opinion. So I believe there should be another story that I was going to talk about. I think it's the Lacazette deal. You know what? Yeah, I'll talk about the Lacazette deal. Now, the thing with Lacazette is that when we signed him for 50 million, I think there was an expectation that he would be an elite level goal scorer. Now, Lacazette for me is a good footballer. I like the way he drops deep. Compared to Aubameyang, he is a more technical footballer. Albeit Aubameyang, you have to say, is a better, not so much better finisher, but more clinical goal scorer. But I think the only fault of Lacazette I can see is that I don't think he's prolific enough. So for the hype of signing him for 50 million, I don't think he's lived up to that hype. But he was our best player of the season in 18-19. Aubameyang won the Golden Boot and scored more goals, but I think Lacazette's performances were better. As I said, I think in a purely technical sense, he's a better player than Aubameyang. But I like him, I really do. Is he elite? Is he world class? No, but I think he is still very good and he is a very good and competent player. Like the Slavia Prague game at home, that's what it doesn't matter now because we're out of the competition. But the Slavia Prague game at home, I was cussing him badly because he should not have missed that chance. But he redeemed himself in the second leg. Obviously, he took the knee. Obviously, given the shit that the Slavia Prague players did against Rangers, but even still, I think I think had he been more prolific, I think it would have warmed a lot more people to him. But if he stays for a year, I would not have an issue with it. I still think he can get a reasonable amount of goals. And as I say, I think for me, the only issue I can see that he's not been as prolific as he probably should have been. I think his goal scoring record is about 1 goal in every 2.5 games, which is not terrible, but it's not elite level. You look at the best forwards in the league in terms of goals since he's been in the Premier League since 2017, so that's 4 years now. So you look at, say, obviously Harry Kane, Aubameyang, Vardy, Mo Salah, Raheem Sterling, Kun Aguero. You look at their goals to game ratio. In some cases, probably under 1 in 2. So he's not been as prolific as them. But again, as I say, I like Lacazette. I like what he brings to the table in terms of his profile as a footballer. But for me, it's just for me, it's goals. As I said, I think he would have warmed a lot more players would have warmed. A lot more fans probably would warm to him even more if he was more prolific. But as I say, if we can keep him for another season and he gets his fair quota of goals, plus he does bring more to the team in dropping deep, creating, pressing, then yeah, I think I think um, I think that's beneficial. So I have no issue in principle with Lacazette staying for another year, even though he's not world class. I think it's more defence and midfield we need to sort out. You know, if we're to improve our defence, which I think is more crucial in our development, then we need to, well, it sounds simplistic, we get better players, but more players with a different profile, which is why I said earlier, we need someone similar to Partey in the middle. And I think we need another centre back. It looks like Ryan Bertrand is coming in, so that would be cover for left back at least. Right back, I think we're good for right back, but if we can get a decent centre back of a sturdy profile, plus a good strong box to box, and yeah, I think we're good to go. Are we top 4 levels? No, but I think it's just as much more about our style of play, about the structure in the team generally, as much as the quality of players that we have. So yeah. All right then. So I'm going to end it here on this transfer news. So yeah, thank you very much.